I bought a Tapper colt at the Keeneland September sale and incredibly excited about that purchase. It was a colt that had plenty of size and scope and carried himself with a real presence that drew me to him.
I bought a Tapper colt out of Black Coronas at the Phasey Tits in July sale, out of a Curlin mare, big beautiful horse. We're real excited about him coming up in the spring.
Taprit, standing at Gainesway.
Hey everybody, Jay Privman along with Marty McGee, and we've got plenty to review in terms of our Derby Watch Top 20. Marty, let's get right to it. We've got one newcomer to this year's Derby Watch Top 20 and kind of a tightening of the odds at the top of the leaderboard. So let's recap all that.
Well, you would have thought with 4 preps, Jay, including the 10-pointer, the Taglia, that we would have had more movement in and out of the Derby Watch Top 20. But as you said, only one is out. We threw Pioneer of Medina overboard and brought in the Gotham winner, Morello. And then I did a little tweak on the odds with Smile Happy at 6-1 and a cluster of horses at 8, and then another one at 10, and another one at 12, and a couple more at 15. So as usual, at this stage, we've got 8 weeks until the Kentucky Derby. It's way, way, way wide open. And again, just clarifying the odds, this is what the odds might be if they were to run the race tomorrow, but of course they're not, and there will be a reshuffling naturally of the odds as they are right here on this graphic.
Marty, I'm of the firm belief that the reason there was so little movement in the Derby Watch Top 20 from last week to this is because of the outstanding job that we did last week in putting together our list, so that the horses that we had on there ran so well that there was no need really to make much movement, right? As I throw my back out and get ready to sign up for chiropractic tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you underrate us, Jay. I mean, what about the previous weeks also? So there hasn't been a whole lot of movement from the originals.
Well, let's take a look at the horse who is the newest member of the Derby Watch Top 20. That is Morello, who is now 3 for 3 after his victory in the Gotham. And Marty, he's won all 3 of his races around one turn. He's won all of them by daylight. His next race will be the Wood Memorial, but I kind of like this horse. I'm not sure how far he's going to go, but you can't fault anything he's done so far. What do you think of his Gotham?
Well, it was ideal. I mean, everything went perfectly, and he went off by himself by, 4.5, and he's still unbeaten. He's essentially in the Derby with those 50 points, Jay, but as you said, he may have some distance limitations, and we will see when, A, he goes longer, B, he faces tougher, and C, when there's a more contested pace for him.
And maybe all of that will happen in the Wood Memorial, which is what we expect his next start to be. But certainly you can't fault anything he has done to this point. The most significant race last week in terms of what it looked like for Derby contenders was the Fountain of Youth. And Marty, you were there at Gulfstream. There were 4 horses in our Derby Watch Top 20 in that race, and they ended up finishing 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 6th. And let's take these horses one at a time, beginning with the Victorious Simplification, who, as we had noted, had a really rough trip in the Holy Bull. And to me, this was kind of a deserved victory for him based on the trip he had had. And he continues to improve. His buyer figures have gone up since he's gone 2 turns twice. To me, he's a rock-solid horse. What did you think of his race?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we have him grouped in the next in second favoritism on the Derby Watch Top 20. He validated not only his effort, his troubled effort in the Holy Bull, but if you also go back, Jay, to the Mucho Macho Man very early in the year, usually that's the kind of race you and I and everybody else would say, so what? He won the Mucho Macho Man, but he's come a long way. He got a very competitive buyer out of that race in '96. Antonio Sano has been down this road before with Guinevere 5 years ago. He actually won the Fountain of Youth also. So he very much deserves to be among the core of favorites for the Derby right now.
Well, let's now talk about In Due Time, who was the controversial horse in this race, finished 2nd. It seemed to me that he had caused the accident at the top of the stretch. He was not disqualified, and significantly, Marty, because he was not disqualified, he goes away from this race with 20 points, which may prove pivotal in terms of him being able to get into the Derby. So let's look at this from two standpoints. One, do you think he should have been DQ'd? I do. Second, though, let's talk about the horse's performance, which to me was solid. He ran, it's going to get overlooked because of what happened, understandably, with the accident, but there was nothing wrong with his race, especially considering it was his first try going 2 turns.
Well, I would have to agree that he should have been disqualified. I mean, if you, as you have dissected it as very closely as you have, I think you know that he came over at least one path at a very critical moment and caused the accident that led to both Bill Mott horses falling. And fortunately, neither of the 2 horses, nor neither of the 2 jockeys, Joel Rosario or Junior Alvarado, suffered serious injury. So we're all thankful for that. But going back to in due time, yes, he now has the 20 points in his pocket from not having been DQ'd. And let's say he runs, what, 4th in the Florida Derby, and that's worth 10 points. Well, instead of having 10 after being DQ'd, he now has 30. And that's pretty much the threshold you and I would agree after, a number of years of gauging what it takes to get in the Derby. So, yeah, it was. But overall, going forward, I think that Kelly Breen, I know that Kelly Breen was very happy with the effort and something for the horse to move forward off of.
And we expect those top 2 horses to both come back in the Florida Derby on April the 2nd. Marty, the 4th place finisher in this race is another member of our Derby Watch Top 20. That's Emmanuel. He suffered his first defeat. At first blush, when I watched the race, I was a little disappointed at how he didn't quite finish the race off. But then upon further review, he really did have a lot to overcome. He's usually forwardly placed. He got shuffled back early. He made an extended run. And maybe that was the reason that he kind of lost his punch late. What were your takeaway of his race last Saturday?
Well, here at Tampa, when he won that allowance, he was really scooting the last 16th of a mile or so. And I thought just by the naked eye, Jay, that he was moving real well at the end of this race, too. So it was a huge learning experience for him with all the crowding, et cetera. So I think Todd Pletcher and Elliott Walden et al. Are justified in being optimistic about him and how he might move up off that race.
And the last member of the Derby Watch Top 20 who ran in the Fountain of Youth that we want to discuss is Rattle and Roll. This is a horse who came off of a layoff. He finished 6th in the race. He was very fortunate, Marty, I thought, to escape the trouble when the accident happened at the top of the stretch. His trainer, Kenny McPeak, had told you repeatedly that he thought he would need a race or 2 to knock the rust off. And based on what we saw, I think he was right on. What was your takeaway?
He was right. And Kenny, instead of splitting up Smile Happy and Rattle and Roll between the Bluegrass and the Florida Derby, or vice versa, has now said, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him at length about this, but he's going to run 3 weeks back, talking about Rattle and Roll, he's going to run 3 weeks back in the March 26th Louisiana Derby. And I think that's a means of maybe sneaking in another prep behind him, because Kenny said it probably is going to take him a couple of races. So maybe he's a little bit further away from reaching peak form, and that's why he's going that route.
One more race to take a look at, and this was another significant win, this by Forbidden Kingdom in the San Felipe. I was there for this race. As you know, I've been a little bit skeptical about this horse's ability to stretch out around 2 turns, but he did that and then some. He whistled in this race. And Marty, he was so impressive that you've got him now as one of those co-second choices on your Derby line at 8-1. What did you think of Forbidden Kingdom's win in the San Felipe?
Well, one thing is he is the actual individual favorite in the Kentucky Derby Future Wagering Pool 4 that will be held this weekend, which kind of surprised me because I'm not really sure what he beat, Jay. I mean, and who's going to ship out for the Santa Anita Derby? Is that going to be a virtual replay? And just the entire, it was such a life is good Pegasus kind of effort where the race was over really quickly. But how will that play versus the likes of Morello or Classic Causeway, whose speed, or Epicenter? All of them have won on or very close to the lead some of these preps to date. So once they all get together, I don't know how that kind of strategy would work, especially going the 1.25 miles of the Kentucky Derby.
Well, he certainly is fast, and we saw that he could at least stretch his speed 1 mile and a 16th. He'll next try to go 1 1/8 miles in the Santa Anita Derby on April the 9th. Marty, the only other point scoring race, as you alluded to, was a 10-point to the winner race, that being the Battaglia Memorial. Tis the Bomb won that. He's a horse who had disappointed in the Holy Bull, and it looks to me like he's more of a grass horse, not really a dirt horse, and that was why they ended up going for the all-weather play in the Battaglia Memorial. He did not make the cut for our Derby Watch Top 20, but I wanted to at least acknowledge that race rounded out the point scoring races that were worth 17 overall and 10 to the winner. Well, that's our review of all the point scoring races from last weekend. Here at DRF.com, you'll also find a preview of this weekend's big race. It's the one that Marty's attending, the Tampa Bay Derby. For Marty McGee, I'm Jay Privman. Thanks for watching.